Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today for the webinar. We are so happy to have you join us. Our webinar today is on Save the Sub, Creating Easy Lesson Plans with Banzai. Just wanted to go really quick over some housekeeping items. Check your device's audio settings. If you can't hear me, make sure that your audio is on. We do have everyone on mute, so you just want to check your volume if you can't hear. If you have questions, you can go ahead and ask them in the chat. In fact, we would love for you to ask questions. We do have people monitoring those, and then I'll answer as many questions as I can in real time. We would also love to hear any ideas or feedback that you have on our topic that we're discussing today. And then be sure to reach out to us at Teach Banzai or visit us on our website to follow along. So my name is Natalie Hollingshead. I'm one of the curriculum writers here at Banzai, which just means that I work on the content that you see and use with your classes. So we wanted to talk a little bit about substitute teaching lesson plans and why we think Banzai and the very many tools that we have are a great fit for using with your substitute teachers. So I found a survey from a company called Red Rover K-12 that talked about, they surveyed 4,000 teachers, and one of the 4,000 substitute teachers, I should say, and one of their biggest findings was that reliable lesson plans are a #1 reason for a substitute teacher accepting an assignment. I don't know if as a teacher, is that surprising to you? Is it not surprising? Go ahead and throw your response down in the chat if you have thoughts on that. But it seems like, based on that, and then just anecdotal evidence we've gathered from teachers on our teacher advisory board and teachers that we work with, having a reliable lesson plan or something that a substitute knows is going to be ready for them can make it easier for them to take on a substitute teaching job. So lesson plans that set subs up for success have a couple different components. In our mind, something that's simple. For financial literacy, something that's standards aligned, something that's low prep, and something that is engaging. And that's why we think Banzai is a perfect fit. So today in the webinar, we're just going to go over some resources that we have that you may be familiar with or that you may not be familiar with that we think make a good fit for substitute teachers. So this includes our game kickoff slides, sample schedules, worksheets and workbooks, guest speakers, and then our scholarship application is also a really good fit for a substitute teacher time. So first thing, game kickoff slides. Now these are relatively new. In the last year or two, we've created a series of game kickoff slides in Google Slides that you can copy to your drive and use to kick off all of our different games. So they explain the game scenarios, how the game playing works, kind of outline the different learning objectives for a specific game. We have them for all 15 of our current games. And then if you aren't aware, we are currently going to be launching some new games, including Stock Market Showdown in January and Middle School Personal Finance. We have an AI game coming and a lot of other exciting things as well. So these are slideshows that you could teach yourself. You could have students teach these as some sort of assignment, or you could assign them to a substitute teacher in addition to the game if you needed to either lengthen the content that you're providing for the substitute teacher or simply needed to provide something at the very last minute. This is simply something you could copy to your drive and then share with them, or even have them copy to their drive. So we have them on all of these courses, the game kickoff slides, Lemonade Tycoon, Life Scenarios, Consumer Smarts, Banking and Advanced Budgeting. And then, like I said, we have Middle School Budgeting coming soon. These are all of our personal finance flagship games. In College and Careers, we have Cost of College, Paying for College, Scholarships, College Alternatives, Career Field Quiz, and Soft Skills. And then in Digital Citizenship, we have Internet Safety, Digital Wellness, Cyberbullying, Digital Footprint, and Digital Dragons. Oh, and Matt, thanks so much. Loving all this new content, he says. So easy to use in a classroom setting. Yes, we love to hear that. Thank you. That's always our goal. So here's how you access game kickoff slides, and I'll also show you in the teacher toolkit. So you log into your teacher account, you go to the toolkit, select game kickoff slides, copy to drive, and make a copy. So let me just show you how easy this is. Now we're in the teacher toolkit. You just click this filter here for game kickoff slides, as easy as that. And then for whichever slide you wanted to do, you would say copy to drive and make a copy. So something you could do ahead of time. These slideshows aren't super long. I'll show you exactly what they look like. We have some screenshots. There's notes already in there. So truly, this is something you can just hand over to a sub and have them read. But you can also, since you've made a copy and customize this to your drive, you can also easily add slides to this, right? You could ask a parent, a room parent, or an assistant or an aide to add more information as necessary as well, right? So those are our game kickoff slides. And if you aren't familiar with those, you haven't tried them, we encourage you to give them a try. So next up are sample schedules. So these are 3 to 10 day guided plans that could be ideal for a longer term substitute. Like if you know sub's going to take over your class for one of those time periods, again, it's a detailed outline designed for a teacher, but very easy for a substitute as well. Here's an example. This is an elementary personal finance sample schedule. And you'll see at the top, we have a crash course that outlines 3-day implementation of this course. So day 1 is introducing Banzai and signing up the students with an estimated time of 10 to 15 minutes. Then you take the Lemonade Tycoon pretest, and then you start the game. On day 2, they continue the game. On day 3, they would finish the game, take the post test, and then complete the vocabulary practice. Now, your time periods could vary, so that's why we put a time estimate, because maybe this would take 5 days, maybe this would only take 2. But it's just giving you a starting point, right? And kind of listing out all the materials that you would need to make that happen. And then underneath that, we have a 10-day, what we call deep dive. So introducing students on day 1, taking the pretest, and then we have some discussion items. Day 2 and 3, playing the game, wrapping it up, adding some class discussion in there as well. And then have some things like working on the elementary personal finance workbook, reading a financial literacy article on day 7. Again, questions for class discussion. We have budgeting worksheets, the Banzai card swap game, and just all of these different activities that you can do. So we have sample schedules for elementary personal finance, high school personal finance, middle school personal finance, digital citizenship, and college and careers. And again, these are in the teacher toolkit. So let's go back to that. This teacher toolkit, you would just click guides. And we have a teacher's guide. If you're not familiar with that, that's kind of a cool thing to check through. We have a letter you can send to parents to get involved in your financial education. But here's what we're looking for. So I showed you the elementary personal finance sample schedule. I'll just go ahead and show you high school personal finance. And it's just a PDF that you will download and you can print off or give to the sub. And they wouldn't even necessarily need access to your Banzai teacher account to do this. We recommend giving access to the sub just in case they needed it to add a student or help with a troubleshooting issue. But this could really be something that they simply just guide the students through. So up next, workbooks and worksheets. So this is good when you want to have screen-free activities or supplement online games. Hopefully you're aware that as a teacher that works with Banzai, you can get free workbooks. Now, if you're a sponsored teacher, if you have a sponsor that you work with, you can request free printed workbooks through the teacher toolkit, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. And if you're not, you can request a sponsor in order to get the printed workbooks, or you can also download these. So let me show you that. So up here on this is your teacher toolkit, you would hit workbooks here, and this is where you order free workbooks. And so if you're sponsored, it will say great news. This credit union or bank offers free booklets for your classroom, and you just hit order free workbooks to request those to your classroom. They are also available here in the teacher toolkit. So again, I hit toolkit here at the top. I select workbooks, and I can download the workbook and the answer key that you could print out again for your students. So we have elementary, middle school, and high school personal finance workbooks. We also have a digital citizenship workbook and answer key. And then we have some older ones as well, this life scenarios workbook and the Banzai swap. We also have retired workbooks and retired answer keys, just in case you have any of those. Worksheets. So you might not be familiar with this, maybe you are, but Banzai also has a lot of worksheets that can be filtered in a couple different ways. We have them for K through 6, 6 to 8, and then 9 to 12. We also have digital citizenship worksheets and college and careers worksheet. And again, these are all in your teacher toolkit. So you would select in the toolkit, you would select worksheets, and you can just download any worksheet that you want here. Some of these, like a worksheet like this one, finding a job, does not have an answer key because it's something that's going to be more open-ended and will require you to just make sure that the student has completed it or done it to your satisfaction. Other worksheets do have an answer key that go with them. For instance, this is a word search about college alternatives. And so here's the word search, and then it has a answer key that goes with it. So we have quite a few worksheets. In fact, I can keep scrolling and scrolling here, and you can find those. You can filter if you want by content. Like if you want to say grades 6 to 8, and then pull up everything that works for that way. Now, I also want to show you that your students can access these. If we go into the student preview, you could also have them here, have students navigate it from here. I don't know if they have access to a printer in your classroom or anything like that, but this will kind of give you an idea even of what worksheets are related to what item, but you can also download them from here and then simply find the answer key in the teacher toolkit. So that's a great supplemental activity. Again, something that you could have a stack of around for a rainy day, or that you can pair with a game, pair with a kickoff slide, again, getting ideas from the sample schedule if you wanted to. Sponsor visits. So this is one of, I think, a really cool feature that we offer here at Banzai that I'm not sure everyone is familiar with. So when you're gone, if you know ahead of time, you can plan and request a guest speaker. So this is from the sponsor. So Banzai is sponsored for free in classrooms in partnership with banks and credit unions in your area who sponsor your specific zip code, your specific school. And a lot of these sponsors would love to be involved with your classroom. So you can request a virtual presentation or an in-person presentation or a field trip to a financial institution. Of course, the field trip is going to be a little tricky with the sub, unless, hey, maybe you have a setup for that would work great. But these are all options that are available to you. And you can request a sponsor visit through the teacher portal. So I'll show you again here. So up at the top, you just click sponsor, and this is where you can get information about your sponsor. So we'll have a name, an email address, a phone number, the name of the institution. You can send a thank you note to your sponsor to thank them for providing Banzai to your class for free. In fact, hey, that could be a good substitute lesson, maybe even a Thanksgiving substitute lesson. Have the students write a thank you note, practice writing a thank you note. That's kind of a lost art, right? But down here at the bottom, you can request a sponsor lesson. And this is where you would select the type of lesson you're interested in. Now, if you're interested in all of the options or learning about all of them, you can select as many as you want. You could say, I want a virtual presentation, or I actually am interested in a guest speaker coming to my class. Let them know, and they'll get an automated email from our system that will let them know that you specifically have requested information on a sponsor visit. I'd be curious to know if anyone on the chat today has had a sponsor visit. Have you tried reaching out to your sponsor and have any interaction? We have some really cool lessons that we provide for the sponsors to give to Banzai, or they could speak on really any topic of your choosing. So that's just kind of a fun, cool option for, like I said, if you have a need for a sub ahead of time and that works with your school. So another brand new thing that we're super excited about is our Banzai scholarship. And this could be a really cool activity for a substitute teacher to execute with a class. We estimate it would take about 3 to 5 days, and this is our Banzai Life Literacy Scholarship. This is a brand new scholarship we are giving away to students. So here's the details. You have to play through at least 2 Banzai games and submit proof. By that, we mean they have to be registered with the teacher and play through the game twice. So you would, as part of this substitute plan, you would have the students play through 2 games. This can be any 2 games. So you could enable all of the games for your students, or you could pick specifically which 2 you wanted them to do and have them play through it. Then they need to write an original essay of 350 to 500 words on why financial literacy is important, or how they plan to use what they've learned in the future. And again, that would be part of the activity for the substitute teacher to work with the students on, assign students to do. And then we are giving away 5 $2,000 scholarships. There's no GPA requirement. There's no service requirement. It's simply playing through these games and submitting the essay. And the application deadline is not until the end of March. And we do plan and hope to continue this scholarship sort of in perpetuity. So not only is this something that you could do with your students this year, kind of anytime between now and the end of March, something you could have a substitute do with them, but it's just a great opportunity for students. So there's a little bit of qualifications here. It's not for elementary school or middle schoolers. High school juniors and seniors only who meet the following. Applicants have to reside in the US. They must be at least 16 years of age, have played through the 2 games and submitted proof, and then plan on enrolling part-time or full-time at an accredited college, university, or trade vocational technical school by 2029, 2030. So we have a little bit of wiggle room there in the timeline of when they're entering college, because we know that, people have different plans. So that's scholarship. Actually, I'll have Mallory, who's helping me with the chat, drop that link in the chat in case you're interested in doing that with your students. I should have added that to the slide here, but here we are, and that will give you kind of the details on where to apply. But that's a great thing for a substitute to do. So playing through 2 games could take 2 to even 4 days, and then however many days that you want for the drafting the essay. You could require them to simply draft it, you could require them to submit it, but that's another thing that we can do with a substitute teacher. So a few things to keep in mind when working with Banzai and a substitute teacher. We recommend leaving your login information for the substitute. So remember, you can always change your password after if that's something that you're worried about, but having the sub being able to access could help them. Like if a student is accidentally logged out of their account or forgot their password, a substitute teacher could then help them reset the password. If there's a new student in the class, they can then get a class code and join the class. Or if there's, something where a game needs to be added for a student or that sort of thing, it is helpful for them to have the login. However, if you really didn't want to give your login and you trusted your students and they were already set up and familiar with Banzai, then you could just let them go with what currently is happening. Just keep in mind that if the sub's going to be around for longer, you might want them to have access to the decision trees and the grading toolkit part of things, and they can only see that if they log in with your account. Now, any teacher can create an account, so if you are really in a pinch, you could have the substitute teacher set up their own account and add the students to that. The only issue with that is that they wouldn't be part of your class and sort of in your interface. You'd have to come up with a way for students to get participation points or however you wanted to do that. But if you were really in a bad spot and you just needed something in the case of a true emergency, the teacher could absolutely sign up for their own teacher account just right away, add students, and just go for it. It could be a resource that you point them to in a pinch. And honestly, we have teacher support staff here during the school hours. We are available to, if you wanted to pass a number to a teacher and they had a prep period before, you want to get them on the phone with one of our teacher support specialists and figure out how to set up a class in a hurry, we'd be happy to help with that. So only the teacher can make assignments to students. So you either need to do it ahead of time or create a class specifically for substitutes. So within your teacher toolkit, your teacher. So I don't mind saying toolkit, just within your teacher interviews here, you could add a class right here, create new class. You could add a class specifically called substitute teacher class, or maybe get a little more creative with it there, but you could set up a game that maybe you want to reserve for when a sub comes, and you have that just ready to go. And you can tell the sub, if you don't want them, getting into anything else, log in, hit the substitute teacher class or the rainy day class, have your students already added to that, and then they are ready to go. And then the other suggestion is to ask a room parent or a volunteer to prep the worksheets or workbooks for a rainy day. I do believe we can do bulk orders of the workbooks. Like you could have someone at your school, if it's sponsored, request workbooks for multiple classrooms and get those ready to go and set up. If you don't end up needing to use them during the school year, you could always send them home with kids over a summer break and let them return it for extra credit, or over a holiday break, or that sort of thing. But they are really handy to have just on hand for whatever comes up. And sometimes you really do want that screen-free supplement. Are there any questions on the resources that we've mentioned so far? Have we had anything come through here? I don't know. Oh, there we go. I had a question about the sample schedules. Yes, the sample schedules are assuming a 40 to 60 minutes per day in the class. Some kids play through our games faster, some slower. There's some variability there. The games are replayable, and they do autosave. So students can stop and start anytime they need to. And then that's when it's nice that you have other resources in our toolkit that you can, that you can turn to when you need something else to do. So just here, make sure I went over everything. We've got assessments. These are the pre and post tests, the answer key. We've got the game kickoff slides, guides, teacher's guide, showed you that. Oh, the library. So this is another thing that you could turn into a substitute lesson. We have library challenges, and these are actually from, dare I say it, COVID days, but we have some library challenges that engage students critically thinking with our library. So you can copy this challenge to your Google Drive by clicking the Add to My Drive button, and then send the challenge to your class. So we have challenges on using credit, savings account, cybersecurity, completing a tax return, buying a home, and auto insurance. So when you add the form to your drive, you're creating your own version of it. So you can edit, delete, add questions, and then student answers and resources are available just back on that toolkit that I showed you. So for instance, we wanted to copy the buying a home challenge. We'll just spin here for a minute. So you read an article from our Banzai Wellness Center. Oh, see, it has me as editor for this, but that won't be the case for you. So you'd have the students read through an article. This article is on our Wellness Center, which is our adult-facing product, but it's free for anyone to access. There's no paywall, there's no login, anything like that. So we have this buying a home article. In the article, we have a couple different resources. We have a calculator, a coach, which is a choose your own adventure style prompt game sort of for adults to work through things. And then we have a mortgage calculator activity. So what's cool about this is that the student would read through this. We have, important keywords bolded here. And this is an example of the mortgage calculator. So you could give students a projected amount and have them sort of work backward from that. They could come up with their own numbers and have to provide some sort of information there with you. But they get a lot of information there. You could even have them play through this coach if you wanted to. It's estimated 7 minutes on that. And we've got just a lot of really great information about buying a house for the first time, choosing a mortgage, working through interest rates, all that sort of stuff. So you would have them read through that article, possibly play through those games if you wanted to. And then they would fill this out. So it's the email address, class name and period, and then they would have to answer some comprehension questions that would quiz them to make sure that they did the assignment. And then we have another section that's using their newly found expertise to answer some questions. So these are great for, again, for a substitute teacher, because even if they didn't have the financial literacy knowledge that maybe you do, this is kind of an all-in-one package. And so it takes some of our ready-to-go resources in our wellness center and just makes it really easy for you to work with. So again, using credit, savings account, cybersecurity, completing a tax return, buying home auto insurance. These could all probably be their own standalone substitute teacher lesson plan, just ready to go. And you can copy this, you could send a copy. So again, if you didn't want a teacher accessing your Google Drive, or you share it with your students ahead of time in whatever interface that you use, and it's just ready to go. While we're at the Wellness Center, I'll go ahead and show you a few things here that could be of interest to you. We have our courses, collections, articles, calculators, and coaches. There are all sorts of tools here that can be used in your financial literacy classroom. And in fact, we're working right now on coming up with worksheets and supplemental activities for a lot of these so that we can bring them over and have them just in that one interface for you. So you don't even have to go, chase these down. But things like a credit card payoff calculator, super instructive for especially, a teenager to see, okay, if I've got a $10,000 balance on my credit card, interest rate of 8%. Yeah, right. Credit cards are like 22%. And if we're paying, $300 a month on this credit card, whoa, it's going to take 52 months to pay off. So you could even have students explore these on their own, again, with a substitute teacher, or on their own. You can look up item by topic. So if your students are interested in running a business, we have information here. So just a lot of resources at your disposal that are hopefully really easy, really turnkey for when you have those substitute teachers that you are working with. Did we get any questions here? Let me check the chat. I would be so curious to know if you've used Banzai with a substitute teacher before, if you've thought about using Banzai, if it feels easy enough to just turn over to a sub. Also, we are always interested in your ideas for courses, new content, that sort of thing. We love to hear from teachers, and we love to try to fulfill your requests whenever possible. Matt says these calculators have been great to use even for us adults. Yes, thank you so much. I find they are really helpful. I mean, we reference them all the time just working here, but we really try to create products that we actually see a need for, that we see a use for. So thanks, Matt. We really appreciate that feedback. And I'm assuming, other people have had good luck with them as well. Matt says, I got so many questions about credit, how they work, how long it takes to pay off a credit card, etc. Yes. And it's very true. It's one of those abstract subjects. A lot of these things don't make sense until you've really been through it. And so our whole approach here at Banzai is to give students the chance to learn by doing, and maybe they can, make mistakes or explore different choices and opportunities through our games and our courses and our calculators and all those sorts of things, so that they don't have to do it in person, or in person, then they can make maybe their better, higher choice. So if you have any questions, like I said, go ahead and drop those in the chat. I'll just let you know that you did earn free professional development credit for watching this webinar. You'll get an email link in about 24 to 48 hours following the webinar with a link to a survey. If you just fill out that survey, add your information, you will get a PDF certificate automatically sent to your inbox. If you are watching this through our on-demand library in the future, there will be a pop-up box that you can just fill your information in, and again, have that certificate automatically sent to you. If you want to walk through for using Banzai as a first-time teacher, you can use the QR code on the left here that says watch the Banzai Basics PD session, or sign up for a demo with teacher support. And even if you're a veteran teacher and you want to do a walkthrough with teacher support and maybe learn, we've updated a few things, moved a few things around, you want to walk through, or you want to sign a long-term sub, say you're going out on a medical leave or something like that, maternity leave for a longer period of time, and you want to have a sub be set up for success, sign them up for a teacher support walkthrough. We can take 15 minutes at their convenience, walk through how to use Banzai so they can really get caught up on how our interface works. Please follow us on our social media. On Facebook, we're at Banzai. On X, we're at Teach Banzai. Instagram, Teach Banzai. YouTube as well. We would love to have you there. And again, I'm Natalie, curriculum writer. If you have questions or feedback from me or suggestions for anyone on our team, go ahead and email me. It's natalie@banzai.org. And thank you so much for joining us today. Today's webinar is short and sweet. We know your time is precious. We really appreciate you joining us today. Have a great time.